Thank you. Okay, then the first question. This kind of music demands a lot of energy. So, what's your secret for staying in such great shape?
Zumba.
Zumba?
Yeah, that's what I do.
I would say exercise and a good woman in my life.
Woman and Zumba.
Woman and Zumba.
Doug, what do you do to stay in such great shape?
I smoke weed.
Nice.
Kim?
It's exercises, right?
Yeah.
But I don't agree with your premise about being in such great shape.
Exactly.
But
I take issue with the premise.
we get the push-ups and sit-ups in there, you know.
So,
Nate's talking me into jumping jacks. He's trying to get me to jumping
I
jacks.
think laughter too for mental health, which is the most important thing. Then I think physical health. I think mental health trumps.
Yeah.
You know.
I think the energy ultimately is mental.
Yeah, it's psychic
It is
energy.
mental.
Yeah,
Yeah, it really
it's
is.
emotional energy and artistic energy.
Trans-world energies.
Yeah, you tap into something that.
I felt really bad
trans-
today, and we started playing, and I feel better now.
Yeah, that's.
Every time we play, I feel physically, I feel better. It's
That is a
just
secret.
whatever's wrong, it just goes away.
and, no Tai Chi with Iggy Pop.
What's
No
this?
Tai Chi, no. I'm non-violent.
I do a little Ishimru katas to stretch out sometimes when I exercise.
Different types of exercises here then.
Yes.
So I wonder, how did you create this band and choose those musicians?
Well, I was looking for people that I knew and liked, and that I knew were good people. A lot of people can play, but it's more important to be a good person and to be able to get along with each other and have camaraderie and mutual respect. It's very hard to do this kind of work, especially as tours go on and people start running. You're not sleeping well and you're not eating well, and so the most important thing to me was to have good people, and then to have people that had a personal connection to the music of the MC5. And I was very lucky that these guys were available and agreed to come along. I'm very fortunate to have them all. Very, very skilled, accomplished artists.
So you are like the old friends to each other, or?
Well, we've all worked
We
together
met
over the
decades ago,
years
yeah.
and hung out and played together from time to time, and things have come up. And
I think that I like to think that we are old friends because we all love each other's music. I mean, and we became friends in that way even before we met each other, in person. I mean,
We're all fans of each other's bands. And probably at least four of us here started by being fans of Wayne's band.
yeah.
So what impact did MC5 have on you, other guys?
Well, spiritually, it was so important as a guitar player. It sort of fed my record collection. It kind of gave me a launching, pad for the kind of music I would pursue, either recorded music or the way I'd play or the people I'd play with.
Yeah, and to be like a young punk rocker in 1980, 81, 82, and be super into the Bad Brains and all these other bands, and then get into music more so that you start discovering the roots of all that music. And then you go back farther and you find the Holy Grail, which is the MC5 Kick Out the Jams record. And then you suddenly, and then when I was a teenager, they became very important to me because there was a lot of, there was a lot of information in those records politically. There was a lot of information in those records in terms of how to play live as a band, how to throw yourself into it, and create a moment live as a rock band and be spontaneous and be in the moment. and sound amazing, and the songs were amazing. But then there was also literature involved. There was like John Sinclair's Guitar Army and all these things, and the whole scene around the Grandy Ballroom in Detroit, that and the Days of Rage, and this 1968, 50 years ago, this year of the riots, and it was a learning lesson to know that there was music that was accompanying that revolution.
And do you think the music and rock and roll in the USA today is still political active, or is it harder to find it today?
There's definitely plenty of bands that cater to various different subcultures, and certainly there are political bands of many different, persuasions. So it's there, but it's never been the type of thing that would get a lot of radio airplay or get airtime in other popular media.
I definitely think it exists. There are definitely some pockets, and somewhere out there in the United States are young kids that are angry about, the status quo and what's going on in the world. There's no doubtably there's a group of 13-year-old kids out there angry and putting it into their music, their art, whatever. Yeah, it's.
And did it change the climate since the last years, since Donald Trump took over as a president?
Perhaps for, like he was saying, for younger kids, I think being a little bit older, more experienced, we probably had a perspective of clowns like Donald Trump well before Donald Trump was ever there.
But it makes me extremely angry. I'm just so disgusted. Yeah, it's hard to stomach him.
Would you like him? Is he able to be a substitute for your lead singer?
What? Who?
Donald
Trump.
Trump.
Are you?
It was just another silly question.
Yeah.
That'd be something.
Yeah.
Trump
sorry,
leads
I'm
it.
sorry.
MC5.
That's pretty far out.
Yeah.
That was a pretty far out question. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. You
Yeah.
won the game.
No answer. Okay, then I have another silly question. Do you feel that your own personal creative force has space in reproducing this music, or are you in it for the money?
Yikes.
I think there'd be a little bit more love songs and dance songs in the repertoire if we were in it for the money, right? If you want radio, do you want, housewives to vacuum to the music and pre-teens to go gaga over the poster, you're going to have to get some love songs and party songs and dance songs.
We all
There's none of that.
started off like living off of peanut butter and jelly in a van somewhere. That's it's not about the money at all.
I've been showing off in front of people all my life, and when I get paid for it, it's a surprise. And that's always been that way, even today.
So it's very hard to live as a musician in the
I've
States.
done it. It's not hard, but it's no harder than anything else. You have to get out there and you have to hustle and you have to work and you have to build your business, and if you're successful, you are. If you're not, you're not, and you still have a status. It's what your music was. No, it doesn't matter how many people bought it or who said it was great. If someone says it's great, then you keep doing what you do.
But do you have the possibility to choose where or with who you are playing?
Now I do.
Yeah.
Well, it's not choosing as much as, you meet people, you say, let's make music. And you go do it without any pretense.
So
We all got to pay the rent.
Yeah.
And so this is what we do to pay the rent, but I don't think we're motivated by it.
Not at all.
If we were motivated by making money, we'd be doing substantially less adequate music.
But we also all do other things too that help to pay the bills and keep our minds occupied and exercised. I mean, I do.
Yeah, I mean, if you decide as a young person that you want a life in the arts, then you accept what that means. The full impact of a life in the arts means generally you will not become rich and famous, but you will try to contribute something of beauty to the world. That's the most important thing, that you can create something out of nothing. You can add, you can tell a story, you can make a connection with other people. That's the things that keep you going. We do have to pay the rent, and that's why we travel halfway around the world to come and play a concert. But that's not the main reason we do it. We do it because we can't not do it.
I really think that even if I think if we were invited, we would do this. I would play for free if I was invited to come here and entertain some people. I mean, pay my way, flying and food and a place to stay. But I don't think for me, it's not about the money at all, because I can do other things to pay the rent. But it's nice to pay the rent with the music if it happens.
Do you think that you can influence people still with this music, or is it mostly nostalgic?
Oh no, we can definitely move people. Yeah.
It just keeps going.
Yeah.
It doesn't change. There's always some kid finding it and putting it on. It changes his life or her life.
There's definitely been both, though, because we have referred to this as a celebration and a tribute to the music of the MC5 in the 50th year anniversary. So I suppose there is a nostalgic component to it, but it's a celebration. So that suggests to me that's very current and in the now, as well as also recognizing its impact to us as individuals and the impact to the music community in general. I was 8, so I didn't know how to play guitar yet, but I certainly knew about its impact.
Yeah, back to the question. When I first heard it was "Kick Out the Jazz, Motherfucker." At that point, it gave me permission to do what I wanted to do. It changed everybody that I knew in my neighborhood. It was "Kick Out the Jazz, Motherfucker." It was our motto.
So what does it mean to you to make this tour and in this way?
Good question. What does it mean? Well, the experience of it is very exciting and very gratifying, and I'm intrigued with the possibilities. I don't know yet. We're just starting out, so I'm going to know more as we go along. But the idea that we can do this and we can do it as well as we can do it it indicates to me that there's some good stuff ahead. That who knows what we might be able to get into, once we really start to get our sea legs and everything, really gets tight. And it's just a very gratifying and humbling opportunity for me.
So how many gigs did you do?
One. This is
Wow.
our second one.
Okay. And the last one was in
Denmark.
Aarhus.
Okay.
Is that the correct way to pronounce it? Aarhus?
Aarhus, yes.
Aarhus.
Aarhus.
And did it went out well?
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, it went really well.
We had a different rhythm section, so these guys are getting used to it. They're kind of on the speed reading course to pick up on it. The show we did in Aarhus, we had Matt Cameron playing drums from Soundgarden Pearl Jam, and Don was playing bass. So we've been rehearsing to try to get this all, in the picture for tonight.
And we're playing the next 80 shows.
Yeah, this is the permanent or main
This is the
rhythm
the
section.
band.
And do you follow this football VM
A
at the
little
same
bit.
time or no?
What on earth is that?
Okay.
No.
What was the question?
Soccer.
Soccer, no.
Oh,
Another-
Mexico.
It's very big
Boxing
here in
and bullfighting.
Sweden,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
Baseball.
I think in Europe right now it's the most. That's
Oh,
why
yeah.
you don't see anyone.
Well,
in the
Japan
streets
just
right
had a
now,
big
so-
win. Mexico.
Yeah.
We were in LA when Mexico defeated Germany,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
and we thought it was gunfire. We were on the highway hearing bang, bang, bang. There's people setting off Roman candles and fireworks, celebrating. There's some minor riots, and I think
Earthquake
there.
in Mexico.
Yeah, I think there was like a.
Tremor after
Tremors,
jumping
yeah.
so much. They said it literally. It was
The Rick-
it's in the news.
Yeah.
Let me just go on record as saying I have zero allegiance to any professional sports franchise.
Me too.
No. We'll continue.
I like sports, but I have no allegiance to
Yes, hello. Did you have a
the business of sports.
Did you have a specific goal when you started to play? In the
Go!
Yes, I'll tell you my goal. My mother warned me when I was about 13 and I wanted to be a professional musician, that being the life of a musician was very hard because you'd have to work at night and sleep during the day, and there was drugs and alcohol around the world of musicians, and there were loose women.
Sounded good.
So that became my goal.
Okay, the loose women.
All of the above.
All of them.
All of the above.
And did you get what you wanted?
She told me true.
Yeah.
Yes, it was all true. Yeah. And it all took its toll on me.
And do you have the same goal today?
Do I have the same girl?
Goal.
Same goal?
Goal.
Goal or
No,
goal?
I don't have the same goal today.
No.
No, I don't. That's since evolved.
So and today, what's your goal then?
My goal is to be useful and to be productive and to try to leave the place a little nicer than I found it.
He has respect and admiration, so he achieved that. So he can keep himself, within the community of musicians from earning that over all the years.
Yeah, I'm a community musician.
Community musician. I have to translate that, please. Excuse me.
Collective.
Yeah.
collective.
You're not. You work for a.
I'm a worker
Yeah.
amongst workers.
Yeah. Okay.
A fellow amongst fellows.
I watched. I saw you have. You like free jazz a lot.
I do.
Yeah. And you too? Or?
Yes.
Yes.
We all
All
do.
of you.
Free jazz.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
And what do you find in the free jazz? that
Energy.
you like?
It's honest, spontaneous.
Spontaneous.
Communication.
Yeah, there's several levels of communication.
Freedom. Exactly. It's elements of chaotic elements that I infer, whether they're intending it or not. There's an experience there that I draw from that.
There's a spontaneous theme that can occur. There's storytelling, even the nonverbal storytelling, which is a
There's a
beautiful thing.
close relationship between free jazz and punk rock, and they probably meet at some point with art music and noise music.
Do you think it was a coincidence that David
Jackson
Bowie?
Pollock did the cover of the Ornette Coleman free jazz album. Nope, I don't think it's a coincidence at all. I think that's a visual representation of what Ornette was doing.
Yeah, I mean David Bowie had a lot of free jazz
I don't-
on his
He
last
didn't
album.
have free jazz on anything. He had saxophone.
Oh, sure he did.
But
He did.
the
Well,
last
even on
album.
Aladdin Sane when he does the
Oh,
piano.
the piano,
solo.
that kind of sounds like you're vamping, sort of, right? I guess it was a little bit, right?
Yeah.
On Aladdin Sane, but that's
and,
about
then
it.
and then Low when he was doing the stuff with Eno. I mean, there's
I
a
don't
lot
hear
of
any free
moments
jazz
of
in that, though. Ambient.
ambience. I
Do you
mean,
hear his last album?
No, Black Star.
haven't
I
heard
have
it.
that. Yeah, I did hear it, but it's still rock and pop
Still
constructs.
form and structure.
Yeah, I think so.
But you
Supported.
didn't listen, or
I haven't heard it.
Where,
No, I don't
in
know.
Black Star, you said there's some free jazz on
yeah,
it?
I think there are elements of free jazz.
He's-
on that
I
A
mean,
lot
he
of
plays
jazz on there. I
saxophone.
don't know if how free it is, but it is. He's definitely using players who are definitely well
Yeah,
versed in it.
I have to
And
say I haven't heard
I think
that
in the creative
that whole
process, they
album.
probably did really use a lot of the same work to make it
I
happen.
think we got to end now.
Meaning that, would you say, I was just wondering if you were distinguishing free jazz from like, modern jazz or traditional jazz or cool jazz or,
Yeah, I make a distinction between it. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I love Bowie, and I have so many of his albums. I just didn't connect that with it. I mean, like Marcus said, probably the piano on the song Aladdin Sane might be the closest. You know,
I
But-
mean,
but
it's
when you
just
get
the way
truly
of some
free-
tunes, not every tune, but there's some tunes you can find, you can hear that they are playing free jazz. I think so. It was my guess when I heard
Well, that's
some
the
of
beauty
the
of
tunes.
free jazz. I mean, and also interpretation. I mean, I'd hold on to that.
do you just mean jazz? Like
No, I don't mean
Free
jazz.
jazz?
I mean
Okay.
Well, I think when you
Okay.
think free, like you really have to release yourself from the constructs of time as well.
Yeah.
And he's
You're not just
definitely
talking
married to
about-
time for the most part.
Well, I mean, I'm just
So
saying,
it's-
like that's an important aspect of it that I love about free jazz is that you free yourself. You actually end up very much in the moment, you know, and so so it changes every time.
That's what-
and
What the free jazz guys gave me in the '60s when I first started listening to Albert Ayler and Cecil Taylor and Train and Sun Ra was that they were taking music beyond Western ideas of harmony, key, rhythm, and pushing it into a new, more pure sonic dimension. And once I mastered my best Chuck Berry solo and I could play as loud as I could play and as fast as I could play, where do I go there? What's next? What's the next step? And the free jazz guys showed me that the next step was letting the key go, letting the rhythm go, and just go out into space. All the principles of music, when you play with other people, are still active. They're still in place. You know, the key, the tone, the rhythm, but they're not held down to Western ideas. They're free. So, for example, if Kim hits a line, we're playing free, and he goes be-doom, ba-doom, be-doom, ba-doom, we all have to recognize what he's doing. We're still playing music together, but we're not playing in a time, in a key. And everything we know about music, we have to apply to playing without beats and without keys. That to me, that was the door that opened with free jazz. And I think for most musicians, that's what everybody kind of appreciated about those early pioneers, you know, that started pushing music further and further into the next step, you know.
Do you think you have space tonight to play a little free jazz?
Yeah,
I
you'll
think
have
so.
plenty of time.
I think we will.
You'll hear it.
I'm probably better at listening to it than playing it. Yeah, I appreciate it on as a audience member certainly, but
You're doing pretty good. He's being humble.
I am curious though. If you could tell me the name of a song or album, I'll go back and listen to it.
Yeah,
No, but I mean-
I will check it up after the interview. I can.
Okay.
Yes.
I
of
would,
course,
I would,
will.
I would stand my ground
Yeah.
on Aladdin Sane because
That
I mean I remember.
Keyboard part, yeah.
Yeah, well,
I agree.
the piano because he just went in there and it was absent of
And he has
I
that
will show
song
you.
Time.
time.
It's
Yeah.
So, do you have? I have a last line, but do you have something special you want to say?
Yeah.
And then Free
Need
Cloud
to say about
celebration for Free Cloud. There's some
this tour
elements of
that I didn't ask you?
that's on Space Oddity.
Guys, have any last thoughts about the tour?
Thoughts.
No, I'm obsessing about Bowie.
Yeah.
But I give you there's definitely a connection because Bowie mixed the third Stooges album, Raw Power, which is very much a dark medley album, but the previous Stooges album, Iggy Pop, which Bowie worked with Iggy a number of times, and certainly Funhouse has kind of a bluesy, free jazzy thing going on in parts with Andy McKay, right, playing sax. Is that the guy? And then some of Ron Ashton's guitar stuff, and certainly the MC5 on the first album on the song Starship, which was a takeoff of a Sun Ra song, right? So there's definitely, I guess I can see that connection there specifically between Iggy Pop and Stooges and Bowie. But yeah, all these years I didn't recognize it except for what Marcus brought up. So I'm now curious. I have to go back and listen.
listen to.
So if you want to have fun, just have fun, you play free jazz, and if you want to have money, you play rock and roll.
I don't know about that. I was on a tour once.
money.
No, listen. I was on a tour once doing a solo tour when I was with Epitaph Records. And I was playing in Cleveland, and there was a club in the front and a big venue in the back. And I was playing in the small club in the front. I had maybe 200, 300 kids come to see me. And I wandered into the back, and there was like 800 kids back there and a free jazz trio. I said, what the fuck's going on here? You know, like, I'm the guy, I'm the free jazz guy, and I'm playing up here. And all these kids are back there, and they're all, and the trio is like, it's all free improvisation. It's like no structure, they're just, so, and they, you know, I mean, I look at my ticket sales, and I look at their ticket sales, I'd say it was selling.
Yeah, I tell you, when you loosen up and you actually get in the moment and you actually are playing free, even if you are a rock band, like I have an instrumental rock band as well, and we get free on stage, and people respond to it because you're in the room with the people. We're all having the same experience at that moment, and I think that sort of egalitarianism is something that's really welcome in a rock and roll environment. Rock and roll environment tends to be like, you know, we're up on the stage, you know, preaching down to you. One of the things I liked about the MC5 and the MC5 record was like, come on, let's all do this together. Let's all work together to make this room explode, right? Yeah. And so that's sort of the thing that we're all looking for in rock and roll. That's why these songs are of an undefined length, of an undefined experience. And you'll see tonight that we take them different places every night. I mean, at least every practice so far. And I'm assuming it'll happen when we come up live. But almost every band I play with, you try to leave enough space and leave enough freedom to allow a moment to happen where we're all experiencing it for the first time. And that's the exciting thing. And so when you actually get into like taking a band into a free jazz zone, like if it's proper free jazz or if it's free rock or whatever, that openness in the moment, then you see people in the crowd appreciate it. You really do. You see that people wake up. You wake up. They wake up. They can tell when you're in the moment. You can tell when they're in the moment.
They can tell, and I think that's what people pay for, is to come and see something happen right there that never happened before. That's in this moment, in this time right now. And when you do it right, it doesn't get any better. It's absolutely the apotheosis of the experience. And that one moment when everyone is unified, everyone's hanging on that one note or that one phrase, and you can only do that in that moment.
Right.
You can't do that with pre-recorded tapes. You can't do that, you know, with a tightly structured thing. You have to take some chances. You know, there has to be some risk involved.
I mean, I live for the wiggle, trying to find some wiggle room to inject yourself into whatever construct you're in. You know, that's the reason to live, you know.
I live for the wiggle.
Well, I do. I mean,
There's your new album.
God damn it, I do!
Or your memoir.
I lived for the wiggle.
I live for the wiggle.
Marcus Durham. My life in the wiggle.
Your movements when they are fantastic, I think. Your dance steps.
Oh yeah, James Brown.
Really
Very
fantastic.
kind to say that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you remember that? Well, have you ever heard this quote from, I guess it was the 60s or 70s? They would say about Wayne Kramer, plays guitar like Jimi Hendrix and dances like James Brown.
Ah,
I like that.
now I know. Yeah. So, maybe I can continue, but I think your tour manager or whatever.
I think we have to head.
But I have to say one last thing.
Sure.
Mhm.
Sure.
So, okay, guys, then kick out the jams.
Motherfucker.
Cheers.